So, Hoyoverse recently announced that zenlesszonezero is finally going open beta worldwide on July 4th, and as someone who has participated in all of the closed betas before, I have some thoughts about this, because it's been quite the roller coaster ride following the journey of ZZZ. As you already know, the game received a fair share of criticisms, which I will be addressing today, and tell you what has changed, and more importantly, what you can expect from this game. Now, funnily enough, this video is actually sponsored by Hoyo, and I think it's very cool of them to do this, since I have voiced my opinion and feedback about the game twice already, and I definitely didn't hold back when it came to dishing out harsh truth. So hey, they thought, why not make this into a trilogy and help support me along the way? They're totally fine with me just doing my own thing and let you guys know what's up about ZZZ. Now, in this video, I will be covering two major topics: the differences between the previous and latest closed beta versions, and my thoughts about the game's future. And starting with the first topic, I am honestly shocked how much the game has changed since the last closed beta test, and how different it feels right now. For example, if we take a look at the most criticized aspect about the game, the TV mode, it's no secret, even as someone who loves puzzle games, it was too much and too slow back in CBT1 and CBT2. However, now there's a fast forward button you can press to accelerate everything in TV mode, which is really nice. But then this mode by itself won't appear everywhere, and now it's just limited to story exploration missions as well as Hollow Zero mode. And even then, a lot of the TV mode has been cut out, so it appears less and has shorter puzzles. What this means is that basically now rally and combat commissions will contain only, well, combat, and they're super fun, especially rally commissions. It has completely changed as a game mode. Previously, you had to farm it constantly for these materials to obtain disc drives, which are like artifacts, and the first few times it was exciting. However, that 20th time where I needed to grind a long rally commission became a chore. So now it's a one-time dungeon-like instance which contains secrets, boss fights, and pure combat. Also, after completing the one-time rally commission from the main story, a randomly selected scenario from unlocked rotation scenarios will cycle weekly, which is great. But speaking of combat, a couple of big changes have been made to it. The most prominent one being that characters now belong to one of the roles: attack, stun, anomaly, support, and defense. I think it's safe to say that previously, it was hard to pinpoint what team you might want to build exactly, since the roles weren't defined clearly, and at least in my opinion, adding these roles will help to define the characters quite easily. Also, the W engine equipment, which are basically the weapons, now follow the same restrictions as character's path in Honkai Star Rail, meaning you can only activate the passive effect of the weapon if it matches the character's role. Now, the other big change to combat are these cute bang boos. Previously, they kinda just tagged along and did some effect and buffing behind the scenes, but now, when you trigger a chain attack, you can actually switch to a bang boo, and boy is it fun to do this because the animations are just so cute and they actually feel really useful in combat. Also, you still have a choice to ignore the bang boo and just chain attack with the agent instead, and there's a limited amount of times you can trigger the bang boo attack in a single chain. Basically, what I'm trying to say is that they do not overstay their welcome in combat. But let's talk about the story mode. My biggest gripe about it was that you needed to spend stamina in order to progress it, which was very weird since Hoyo got rid of this convention both with Genshin and HSR. Well, surprise surprise, you no longer need to spend the stamina on story missions, and if that's not enough, it went from 180 to 240 stamina, which is always nice for people who have busy lives and don't log in that often. On the same note, believe it or not, but co-op has actually been added into the game. Unfortunately, I do not have any footage to show it to you as I didn't get to try it out, but from what I heard, you can challenge the weekly bosses either via matchmaking or with your friends, so hey, there's a social aspect of the game. Oh, and by the way, some of the footage I'm using here is provided by I Win to Lose Gaming, so huge thanks to him for helping me out. Now, let's talk about the difficulty and the endgame. In my previous video, I said that the game is very easy until you start doing the Hollow Zero mode. Well, the developers have now added a casual and challenge difficulty modes, which is pretty cool, but from my own experience and others, the challenge mode isn't that, well, challenging. But it does scale with your level, so if you go off and grind some side missions and come back in challenge difficulty mode, it should scale appropriately. And then, man oh man, did the endgame receive massive changes. I already liked Hollow Zero mode a lot back in CBT2, but this one is of a different breed now. In a nutshell, now there's a lot of unique biomes you can go through, each one offering the hardest difficulty, and you can also collect these license points that can be exchanged for upgrades such as attack boost, which will be active only in Hollow Zero. I mean, yeah, there are some similarities to Simulated Universe from HSR, but it's essentially an arcade roguelike mode, where you pick up really cool modifiers called Rezonia, and they can completely change your characters or even the team's build. I swear to you, challenging that pink boss on the hardest modified difficulty is still something I remember fondly. Now, another endgame mode called Shiyu Defense has also been added into the game. Here, it's more or less the same as Spiral Abyss or Memory of Chaos. You pick a team, and within time limit, you have to beat the enemies in a stage. Later on, you also need to start using 2 teams, so basically you'll want to invest into 6 characters to clear this mode. Honestly, I like this type of challenge myself because here you get to test the true potential and limits of the character, and Shiyu Defense will be my go-to place to theorycraft. Like, honestly, this current version of the game feels almost unrecognizable from CBT2. I mean, the crazy high-quality animations, the fluid combat, and the city all feel about the same, but a lot of the criticisms I had have been addressed, which I'm pretty happy about. However, we also gotta talk about the banners. And I think the most important one here would be the Bang Boo banner, because in HSR and Genshin, there's essentially 3 banner types: Limited, Weapon, and Standard. Well, in zenlesszonezero, there's a 4th banner type, and that is where you get the Bang Boos. You see, previously, these little guys would spook you in any of the summons, and essentially they would dilute the pool of rewards you can pull from. But now, they won't show up in any of the banners, except their very own little cute and cozy banner. Now, you might think, great, now I need to spend my precious premium currency on another banner. Well, here's the thing, you actually cannot buy Bang Boo banners. The only way to obtain them is by doing various activities in the game, so in other words, this is a purely free-to-play banner. Well, aside from the fact you can obtain a total of 5 pulls from the Battle Pass paid tier, but it's essentially a drop in the bucket compared to tons of ways you can get them from places like Hollow Zero, events, rally commissions, and so on. Also, there's now an S-rank character selector after you do 300 pulls on a standard banner, which is pretty good, and just like the last time, the beginner banner is still available to pull from for that quick and easy S-rank character. All in all, a ton of changes have been made to this latest version of the game, and I think it's safe to say that Hoyo has taken the feedback pretty seriously here, and to be honest, there's like half the stuff I just told you about. There's also various quality of life changes that were made to city exploration, optimizations for combat, and even a cool new character was added in. To tell you the truth, I had a soft spot for ZZZ ever since the first closed beta test, and I'm happy to see it in such a state. But this also made me wonder what else we could expect from this game when it launches. For example, I loved exploring the cozy 6th Street map. It had amazing NPCs and environment design, and I always want more of that. So when I saw on Twitter that Hoyo revealed this new shopping district map called Lumina Square, I got very excited about an actual big city life we could potentially get to explore. In fact, this got me thinking. There's a scene in the latest beta test where you can even see a subway map in 6th Street, so perhaps there will be a transportation system to get to Lumina Square, which could mean that the small maps we get to experience in Chapter 1 and Chapter 2 could be easily expanded upon with a transportation system that could take you, well, literally anywhere. Also, seeing how the new character is named Zhu Yuan, hopefully I pronounced her name correctly, it's possible we're gonna see yet another Chinese-style character, map, or region, and I'm totally down for this. Liyue is like my top 3 regions of all time in Genshin. But yeah, I'm pretty hyped about zenlesszonezero. It's been a pretty interesting journey, not gonna lie. I was there since the beginning, and I'm pretty optimistic about the game's future. I mean, at the end of the day, this game is drop-dead gorgeous, the animations are out of this world, the combat feels very crisp, and it's a free game. So I recommend you pre-register to zenlesszonezero by using my link in the description or pinned comment. Zenlesszonezero will be launching on PC, mobile, and PS5 day 1, which is going to be July 4th, the official launch date. And I know for a fact I'm gonna turn into a couch potato and play it on PS5 because, yeah, the controller actually feels insanely good. And that's how I played all the betas on my PC. Oh yeah, and the game already has bypassed 30 million pre-registrations. So make sure to use my link and unlock global pre-registration reward milestones. Cause, you know, gotta have some of these sweet rewards when starting a new game. Anyway, hope you found this video entertaining, and as always, make sure to press the like button and subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.